Hey, don't worry though. Don't worry. Still haven't gotten my microphone that I paid a decent amount of money for. They told me it's going to be here about 14 days ago. I don't know. This shit's probably not even coming at this point. Pretty annoying. So we're just gonna have to roll with the punches here until this damn microphone comes. I think I might actually start demanding my money back or something. We'll see about it. But happy President's Day. I hope all of you are off today, not working. I'm not working because of President's Day, which is really nice. So last night, yesterday, all I did was I played video games the entire day until I basically hit 11 o'clock at night. And I kind of got kind of stressed out and, pissed off that I wasted my entire day. So, in an effort to revamp my day, I cleaned the entire house. So now the entire house is absolutely spotless because I had a bunch of plumbing issues and the kitchen looked like a grenade went off in it. So that's a different story for a different time. But let's dive into the actual game of baseball. We're breaking down the pitching staff. Let's go. I'm trying to grow this freaking mustache, but it's not really working out that well. I mean, it actually looks better in person, but on camera, it looks like it's pretty chopped. Whatever. We're just going to keep going with it and hope it turns into something nice. All right, the starting rotation, projected opening day rotation, starting five. Really, realistically, you can make an argument that the Cubs could have a six-man rotation because they actually have, a lot of options this year, unlike previous years. And that's something called quality depth. And that's something that Jed Hoyer finally realized is important in the game of baseball, right? Extremely important. I just want to reiterate one more time, extremely important. Quality depth. That's why the Dodgers are so good. But okay, starting five that I think right now. You got Cade Horton. You got Edward Cabrera. You got Matthew Boyd, Jameson Tyone, and Shota Imanaga. I think those are your starting five. And then I think you have some of the backup options like Colin Ray, who could start, like Javier Assad, totally forgot about Justin Steele, right? Justin Steele's coming back in June. That's a pretty damn deep rotation just from those 7, 8 guys that I listed off. And that starting five that I listed off is going to get a hell of a lot better once Justin Steele comes back. Then all of a sudden you're going to have Cade Horton, Matthew Boyd, Justin Steele, Edward Cabrera. Those are four very, very good pitchers. And then a very solid pitcher in Jameson Tyone, who has provided the Cubs with a ton of value with his contract. His first year was shaky, but Jameson Tyone has balled out since then. That was a great pickup by Jed Hoyer, and I tip my cap to you, sir. Right? But those are all the options. And now let's dive into numbers and projections and how I think that they will do this year. All right, so starting off with our ace, our future ace, our forever ace, Cade Horton. I was extremely high on Cade Horton when he was down in the minor league system, and that panned out very well. Biggest question mark surrounding Cade Horton is, can he stay healthy? Because he has a proven track record of not staying healthy, right? So that's his biggest question mark. But if he's on that mound, he's getting 30 starts a year. You know he's going to put up dominant numbers. Cade Horton, 11-4 last season, 118 innings pitched, 2.67 ERA, 97 strikeouts, and a 1.08 WHIP. It's a pretty damn good season. Pretty damn good season. And he was the runner-up rookie of the year. I'm almost positive he was. The Cubs have themselves a legitimate threat on that pitching mound, and the Cubs have their ace. And the future is bright for Cade Horton, and the future is bright for Chicago Cubs pitching. That concludes Cade Horton's, but before ending Cade Horton's, I just want to say there's another individual down in the minor league system that I've talked about to you guys before, and his name is Jackson Wiggins. And Jackson Wiggins, in my opinion, is kind of a lot like Cade Horton, a very dynamic pitcher, wonderful pitcher, has a ton of arsenal, and same age. I believe they're both 24 years old. And Jackson Wiggins should be getting the call up this year at some point, which is just going to even further deepen our rotation. And everyone knows the deeper your starting rotation is, the better your bullpen. Sorry, and my mom's calling me. She's blowing up my phone. So let me go answer this. I'm not deleting this, by the way. And I'm really excited about this one. Edward Cabrera. As you know, the Cubs traded Owen Casey for Edward Cabrera. Owen Casey was sent to Miami. Edward Cabrera was sent to Chicago. Now, there's a bunch of question marks surrounding, well, not really a ton of question marks, but two main question marks surrounding Edward Cabrera. Can he stay healthy? And can he handle, didn't mean to flick you guys off, can he handle the weather in Chicago? I think he could. I think he'll be fine, right? Personally, it's going to be a hard transition. You might see him maybe not struggle, but figure some things out in his first year at Wrigley Field. But yeah, right. But Edward Cabrera is 27 years old, born in 1998, so he's a 90s baby, right? 8-7 last year, but he wasn't on a good team, so that win-loss record should improve, even though win-loss records don't really mean a thing in a pitcher's because it's not really up to them, because a pitcher relies on an offense to score some runs, right? But what does matter is Edward Cabrera had a 3.53 ERA last season, which is pretty damn good. He had a 1.23 whip. I still like it. Could be a little bit lower, but he had 150 strikeouts. Edward Cabrera is a very good pitcher, and you saw Edward Cabrera down the stretch last year for Miami really put it into gear and really figure it all out. If Edward Cabrera could just bring that to Chicago, the second half of the season in Miami to Chicago, the Cubs have a legitimate top of the rotation threat. And I love that 1-2 punch up at the top of the rotation for us. Cade Horton and Edward Cabrera, that's very damn good. And that's very deep. That's high impact talent in your rotation. Next on the list, my number 3 pitcher in the rotation, Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd is coming off a stellar season last season for the Cubs. Just like I say with all these pitchers, injuries. Injuries are a big thing. And I'm not just throwing that out there like it's nothing, but these 3 pitchers have been injured and banged up throughout their careers. Matthew Boyd is older than Cabrera and Horton for sure, but and Matthew Boyd hasn't really pitched all that well in the previous last 5 years, but this year he really showed out. He really proved that he could be healthy and be a good talent for the Chicago Cubs, and really deepens that pitcher rotation for us. Matthew Boyd went 14-8 last season. The Cubs were winning his ball games, right? He had a 3.21 ERA. That's very good. 154 strikeouts, a 1.09 WHIP, and 180 innings pitched last year. Matthew Boyd really proved that he could still hang, right? And don't get me wrong, Matthew Boyd did kind of fall off towards the end of the season last year, but that was expected because his workload was extremely past his previous norms, right? And I said this in a previous video, but Matthew Boyd only pitched about 100, 75 to 100 innings within the last 5 years, not counting the 2025 season. So to go from that little innings in a 5-year stretch to 180 in 2025, you're gonna experience a massive fatigue there. Now, I just hope Matthew Boyd could replicate what he did last season to this season, because 1, 2, and 3 in the Cubs pitching staff, Horton, Edward Cabrera, and drawing a blank, Matthew Boyd, excuse me. That's a wonderful 1, 2, and 3. And quite frankly, I think that is up there with one of the better rotations in baseball. My number 4 pitcher is Jameson Taillon. Jameson Taillon is 34 years old, won 11-7 last season, had a 3.68 ERA, 98 strikeouts, and a 1.06 WHIP. That's also pretty good. If you're getting that production out of a 4th pitcher in a rotation, possibly even 5th, I mean, that just speaks for itself. Anytime you have a lower end of the rotation guy putting up numbers like that, you're just going to simply win some ball games. To get that sort of value out of the latter half of your rotation is just absolutely incredible. Now, I think Jameson Taillon right now sits at the number 4, and that's pending Justin Steele's return in, I think, late May, early June. Because once Justin Steele comes back. Justin Steele, don't forget, is a very solid pitcher, and he could be an ace on this team with the way he has pitched, right? Obviously, he's going to be on some sort of innings limit coming off the Tommy John, but the Cubs are going to definitely try and work him up for the playoffs because the Cubs will be in the playoffs this year. I could almost bank it. Something crazy would have to happen if the Cubs don't make the playoffs this year, but I really believe the Cubs are the best team in the Central this year. I think the Brewers are. Please don't knock me for saying this, but I really think that the Brewers will take a step back. I sure hope so, because the Brewers always have our number. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the Cubs rotation with Jameson Taillon being the number 4, incredible, absolutely incredible. Last but not least, our number 5 starter. Our number 5 starter is Shota Imanaga, who accepted that qualifying offer, and I was actually pretty happy that Shota accepted that qualifying offer because I still think he does bring a lot of talent to this ball club. He brings a huge personality. Seiya Suzuki and him are both Japanese, so they both could fall back on each other because of that language barrier. So I think Shota is very important to this team. And don't forget, Shota Imanaga in 2024 had a wonderful season for the Cubs. Really, truly looked like an ace. First half of the season in 2025, he also looked pretty solid, but in the second half, he just did awful. Just meatballs after meatballs. The home run ball is becoming an issue. That fastball is, I don't know, just players hit that fastball. So the Cubs are going to have to work with him and they're going to have to figure that out. But if he can get past that hump of throwing those meatballs, that fastball of his, I think Shota still brings a lot of value to this team. Shota Imanaga had a .99 whip last year. He doesn't walk people. That's extremely important. He does not walk people, and you don't ever want to give up free bags, right? He had a 3.73 ERA, which on paper that looks really well, but his ERA in the second half of the season was, I think, over 6, which is not acceptable whatsoever. And I'm not even sure if the Cubs really thought Imanaga was going to accept the qualifying offer, but he did. So who cares? You just got to deal with it now. And I still think he's good quality depth to have in this rotation. And he's still very capable of going out there pitching a good game for the Chicago Cubs. 9-8 last season, 25 games pitched. I think the Cubs 1 through 5 are set up to be very competitive this year. And I think they're set up to keep us in ball games. Right? So we're just going to have to see how Shota Imanaga does. I trust Tommy Hotovy and Craig Counsell and the Cubs management. They're already working with them in spring training. Absolutely. Because they have to, because they know the type of talent that Shota is. They know what he could be, and they want him to get back to that. And if he does, the Cubs may as well have a top 5, top 10 pitching staff in all of baseball, if they don't already. As for individuals who could be a spot starter, you have Colin Rea. Colin Rea had a wonderful season last year for the Cubs, and I think he provides a lot of talent or a lot of offer to this team, and I can't wait to see what he does again this season. I think that was a wonderful signing to get back, so I'm excited to see what Colin Rea does. You will see Colin Rea start games for the Cubs this year because Matthew Boyd definitely cannot pitch as much as he did last year. I just don't think that's really plausible. So you're going to see the Cubs really working with Matthew Boyd this season to try and keep those inning limit down to keep him fresh for the playoffs. So outside of Colin Rea, you still have Javier Assad. Javier Assad can prove that he could dig it in the Cubs rotation. Last year was a weird year where he was injured all season and the Cubs, he just didn't play at all. Right? That affects his development because Javier Assad is still a young guy, but expect to see him back in the rotation at some point, making spot starts here and there to give some of these pitchers a day off. I talked about him before, Jackson Wiggins. Jackson Wiggins is going to get the call up very soon. You're going to see that guy be a starter at some point because he has elite stuff, and I'm really high on the kid. So to sum everything up, Jed Hoyer, Carter Hawkins, they have put the Cubs in a position to succeed because now you have an instance where if Edward Cabrera goes down for a month, then you have guys that could fill in for him and fill in nicely, right? And that's important. That's what winning ball clubs have. It's just depth. I can't reiterate how important depth is because everyone knows how often these players get injured. It's such a very fickle game in baseball, especially with pitchers. I mean, imagine throwing balls at 90 plus miles per hour for 120 freaking pitches throughout the day. And I say 120 pitches because God knows how many pitches they throw during warmups. And I always really thought about that. You know, a starting pitcher could only max throw 100 pitches before he cuts it off, but he probably throws a solid 50 or more just to be warmed up for the game. And they wonder why all of these injuries are happening. So the Cubs have to manage their pitchers' workload because staying healthy, especially for the pitching staff, means everything. If you could have, your top 3, top 4 guys healthy going into the playoffs in 2026, who knows? The Cubs could win. I think the Cubs have a good enough team all around, a very balanced team to where they could make a lot of noise this year. And I think they will make a lot of noise this year. I think they're going to really run off with this division by July. That's my opinion, right? Obviously, there's some sort of bias there because that's what I want the Cubs to do. But not only do I want them, I think they truly can do that. So you guys let me know how you think I labeled the pitching staff. Do you think that people should be flip-flopping? Do you think Shota should be 4? Jameson Town should be 5? Do you think Matthew Boyd should be 2? Right? Let me know down in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for all that. I hope you guys have a wonderful President's Day, and I can't wait to see you next video. Out.